Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our evening of Italian cookery with the wonderful Theo Randall.
Thank you.
So, what are we cooking? I think that's the most important thing we need to find out today.
So I'm going to be making fresh pasta by hand. We can do a tagliatelle with English asparagus. I'm going to do it in the carbonara style with lovely pancetta and parmesan. Then I'm going to do a chicken dish, which is chicken legs roasted with potatoes, fennel, tomatoes, thyme and garlic, all baked in the oven. So it comes out, all the juice from the chicken goes to the potatoes. It tastes amazing.
What's for dolce? What's the dessert?
My favorite dessert, which is Torta Barozzi, which is the delicious chocolate and almond and coffee torte with a bit of cream, bit of icing sugar on top. Simple, but really delicious.
Wow. So a really beautiful menu that, of course, if you guys are joining us today, you can, of course, cook along live with us. So we will be putting all of these recipes into the chat box. There'll be links that will take you straight to the website. So that recipe will pop up with all of the ingredients. If you forget any ingredients or you want to get the reminder of the exact amounts, we'll also pop those into the chat as well. Now, if you've got questions for Theo, I've got plenty for Theo this evening, but if you'd like to ask him some questions, that is also the perfect place to put them. We have got a couple of options, so you can pop them as we go throughout today's live, but we are going to have some moments where it's going to work perfectly to really kind of download your questions and get all of the information out that you could possibly need. Now, we mentioned that some of you might be watching, some of you might be cooking along. Now, if you can't keep up, or perhaps you want to just watch now and perhaps cook later, then of course this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So never fear, this content will always be here for you to have a go at cooking the recipes.
Forever?
Forever, yeah, absolutely. Well, they're great recipes. So I think we should start sharing and start with the
fresh pasta.
Perfect.
So here we have 350 grams of Tipo 00 flour, 25 grams of fine semolina flour. Now this is the only recipe you need to make pasta. There's lots of recipes you can find online, but this one honestly is the best one. I'm just going to say that, but it's 4 egg yolks, 2 whole eggs, 350 grams of Tipo 00 flour, and 25 grams of fine semolina flour. Now, lots of recipes add salt, add olive oil. Forget that. You don't need to do that. So the idea is to make a dough that's sort of quite rich in yolk. So this is sort of inspired from the Emilia-Romagna, Bologna region, because it's got quite a lot of egg in there. But I've got 4 yolks and 2 whole eggs. And what the yolks do is they dry the pasta really nicely. So you get this lovely consistency. It's almost like it's like Play-Doh. It's like plasticine. And it sounds a bit odd, but that's kind of exactly what you want. That's that sort of texture. So we put the semolina flour and the Tipo 00 flour in the bowl. And then we're going to get our eggs, and we're just going to break them up, separate the yolks. I'm just going to do 2 whole eggs first. So we'll put that in there.
So you've made a well. You're going to pop them into the middle. And I've got a question for you in terms of the flour. So whenever I make pasta, I tend to use just the Tipo 00 flour just on its own, because it's nice and fine. And I know it's going to make a really good smooth dough. However, you add the semolina in as well.
The semolina gives it a little bit of color, a little bit of texture, and you just a little bit kind of, you don't need too much. This kind of dough is quite sort of silky and smooth, so you don't need much at all. But 25 grams is fine. But what I'm going to do now is, whoops, I
we've got a live one.
There we go. And then we're just going to put that egg in, and
look at the color of those egg yolks.
I'm going to scoop up that bit of egg there.
Let me take those for you.
There we go.
Perfect.
And then I'm just going to whisk these all together. So we've got the eggs mixed in with the flour. And yeah, so it's Tipo 00 mostly, but the fine semolina flour just adds a little bit of texture to it. Could you get me one more egg?
I can do, yeah.
I think I need one more yolk. So the idea is this, you just play around with the dough, just feel the dough, thank you. And just make sure that it's not too dry or wet. So if you might need to add a little bit of water, don't worry, it's always going to be the sort of possibility you might need some water. So we'll just get the dough mixed together. And then this is where you get a bit sort of bit messy. I love
the fact that you've not actually done this in the work surface, because I think a lot of people, when they make pasta, traditionally do that, don't they?
They do, yeah. They end up, it makes your kitchen absolute pigsty.
Yeah, so
flour everywhere.
That's a bit of a balance. You're going to make a bit of a mess, but not too much.
So kind of, you just sort of, it's like making pastry. You just want to make sure the dough is kind of, it's sort of moist and sort of wet, but not too dry, not too wet. I know that sounds a bit silly, but I'm going to show you in a second once we get a kind of consistency. But it's like, as I said, it's like plasticine. It's that sort of consistency where you feel that it's not going to stick into the machine. That's the crucial thing. It's going to put this through the rollers.
So how do you know if it's too dry or too wet? And is there anything that you can do to kind of change the consistency of that dough?
You can add a little bit of water. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. So we'll just get a bit of water here. And then that's just going to bring that all together.
Okay,
like
so not oil, just water.
No oil.
Okay, great.
The oil will make the pasta go sort of black. So just get that together.
Now, Theo, obviously in your restaurant, you do a lot of pasta.
We do.
So, I mean, how much do you even make in terms
we make huge quantities. Can you pass me over to the flour?
Yes, of course. Let me just find you some.
Then
we are... Where have we got it? I think we might need to get someone to get some flour and maybe even an extra egg as well, just for later on.
Okay, so we just keep pushing that dough around. Make sure it's really nicely kneaded. So this is the point where you can knead by hand. It's so much better. If you do it in a machine, it can actually damage the machine. So you don't want to do that. But the dough should be really combined. So all that lovely egg and flour should be nicely mixed together.
Should I sprinkle it in?
A little bit of flour. I made a little bit too much water, so a little bit of flour.
You can play around with the dough, can't you, until you get the right consistency?
You have to play around with it because the thing is the eggs can be slightly different sizes. You have medium-sized eggs, you have large eggs. So it's very important that you get the right consistency. So that's the right consistency. And I'm just going to start kneading that on the board. And it's a good workout.
It is a good workout. I can see you going red already.
You do feel like you're really pushing and working that dough. It's all about kneading the dough. And then we get to the stage where it needs just a little bit more flour, please.
A little bit more flour, we can do that.
And
shall I just sprinkle it over the top for you?
Just a little bit, tiny bit. That's great. So that's kind of what we need. And then now we're going to just cut this bit of dough into half. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, it's what's called proving the pasta dough. So keep turning it. You don't need to go to the gym.
So it's like a twist and turn, isn't it? Twist and turn.
So then just cut the dough in half and then push the dough down. Now here I've got some pasta roller connected to the machine, and I'm just going to make it as flat as I possibly can. And if you get me a little bit more of that flour again, sorry, I keep asking for the flour.
At least I'm being useful. That's what I like.
So let's put a nice amount in there.
Okay.
Nice. That's it.
You want to go?
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. And then pop the flour on, and then we're going to start pushing this through the machine. Make sure it's really flat. Make sure it's really pushed down. So you don't want to make too much, something too thick through the machine too quickly.
So if people haven't got like the Smeg pasta machine here, which obviously it's on the roller in the widest setting, which for us is the setting 0.
Yeah.
How would you suggest that people actually make the dough?
Use a rolling pin.
Okay.
And to knead it by hand, like I did, and then just use a rolling pin and roll it onto like a wooden board. So like this chopping board's perfect. A little bit of flour just to keep the dough from sticking.
And is this what they call like an envelope fold, where you just keep folding it over and over?
Yeah, just keep folding it over. Just keep folding like this, putting it through, fold it over again. And what this is doing is it's basically kneading the pasta. It's making the pasta have an elasticity. And that's what's going to give the pasta a really lovely texture. Because we want the pasta to have a bite. So when we actually cook the pasta, it should have almost like a sort of chewy texture. It shouldn't break up at all. It should be really elasticated. I'm going to show you in a second how elasticated it is. But what we're doing here is we're putting the dough through the machine, and it's making all the glutens, the egg and the glutens from the flour, all combined, which will give it a really nice texture.
So in the restaurant, do you have a machine like this?
We have a huge pasta machine that we put with rollers. We put it through. So it's like a large version of this. But this is obviously electric, so it makes it really quite easy.
I think it's a bit easier, isn't it? I think if you're doing it on your own and you've never made pasta before, to be able to kind of put it through the machine and just catch it the other end rather than having to roll it is a
if you're doing pasta on your own, I mean, it kind of just make tagliatelle first of all. Don't make ravioli. Don't make cappelletti. Don't make tortelloni. Just make some tagliatelle. Just get used to the machine. That's the important thing.
And with regards to the pasta dishes that you have at the restaurant, you mentioned a few there. What's the most popular dish?
The cappelletti with the veal. We would do a cappelletti dish, which is a little pasta shaped like a hat.
Okay.
Stuffed with slow cooked veal with porcini mushroom
good.
sauce and butter. It's absolutely delicious. I mean, people come for that dish. They just come to the restaurant for
It's
that
the
dish.
signature pasta dish by the sounds of things.
It really is.
It sounds absolutely delicious.
Right, so we're getting somewhere with this pasta dough. So let's just have a look. So it was a bit kind of rough and wild at the beginning, but as you can see, it's now becoming really smooth and silky. Just hold that pasta.
Okay.
Gently pull it.
I like the fact that I'm doing something other than adding flour.
So you can see it's elasticating. Now, we haven't added that much flour. There's a little bit of flour there just to help us along. But I'm just going to pop this back, and then I'm going to put this on a plate and cover it with some cling film. And we're going to come back to this and roll out the pasta. So
why obviously I know why we're kneading it. You said that the idea is, of course, that it allows it to stretch the gluten. It allows us then to work with it later on. But why do you need to rest the dough?
I just want to rest the dough just for a minute so I can make the preparation for the next part of the dish. But also, it's going to be easier to put it through the rollers once we've let it rest for a minute. So
it's like going to the gym, isn't it? You give it a workout, and then you've got to absolutely give it a rest afterwards.
If you say so.
I think so.
Okay, so let's just pop that into our little bag under here and just put that to one side. A little bit of flour there so it doesn't stick. And then we're going to start making up the start of our pasta dish, which is the tagliatelle carbonara. So I need some asparagus and some pancetta.
Okay, so we have some asparagus and pancetta, and these look absolutely amazing. I don't know if you can see on the camera here, but these are big beasts of asparagus. And it's the season, isn't it? And this is exactly why we've chosen to do this dish tonight with everybody.
So asparagus season has started. English asparagus season has started. Now you've got two kinds of asparagus here. You've got what they call select, and you've got jumbo. That's probably not a very good example of jumbo. That's a better example of jumbo.
It's a big beast.
They grade the asparagus. You get the little fine one, which is called sprue. Then you have the select, and then you have extra select, and then you have jumbo. Then you have extra jumbo. So basically, the thicker the asparagus is. Now, a good little tip with the asparagus is to just break the ends to make sure that it's tender. Yeah, you can do that. And then where it breaks is where it's sort of tender. The end bit's quite tough, so that bit's quite a tough piece of.
Do you do anything with the end bits, or is that it? They're done.
The end bits you can if you're making like a risotto or something, you can use it to make a stock or something. But I think the best thing to do is just to get rid of them for this time being. Right, now we're going to just chop this asparagus up, and we're going to do some pancetta as well. So the asparagus, just chop it nice, sort of long, thin slices, like so, and that's going to go in the water with the tagliatelle. Now, it's a very simple dish because what we're doing is we're going to actually cook the tagliatelle in the water and with the asparagus at the same time. And then when we actually make the pasta together, we're going to mix up some parmesan and some egg yolks and a little bit of that pasta water and then mix it all together. So you've got this lovely, what they call a crema. Now, so many recipes with carbonara always use cream, and that just doesn't exist.
It's kind of like the cheats way, isn't it, to create that really creamy consistency, but it's certainly not the authentic way.
It's not the authentic way. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a little crema, which is basically mixing the egg yolks and the parmesan together. Can we get a little bowl for this,
yes,
please?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so we'll put that to one side and then pop that in there.
Put your pan on for you already.
My pan's on. So we've got a nice dry pan. So it's a non-stick pan. We're going to not put any oil in there. We're just going to add the sliced pancetta in. So just nice thin slice of pancetta, and you'll get this incredible crispy pancetta because the pancetta's got such a great flavor because it's salted and it's cured. It's slightly dry, so you get a really lovely crispy sort of pancetta. Okay, so that's going to go in the pan as it is. Let's turn the heat up a bit. There we go.
Get it nice and hot. Perfect.
And then let that cook.
So with the pancetta, this was obviously really fine pancetta, but you're going to keep going with it so it becomes crispy because it's not a quick one, is it?
You want to cook it quite slowly so you get all the oil out, so it goes sort of nice and crispy. But yeah, if you had like those little sort of chunks of ones, they take a long time to cook. So you've got a wooden spoon, I think.
I have got a wooden spoon, isn't it? Yeah. It's finding yourself. This isn't your kitchen, is it? So it's fine to find everything.
So just fry that off.
So we've got some nice high heat. This is an induction hob. So for those of you that are actually cooking along, then this is a great one. You want it on a high heat, but you're going to slow it down in a little bit. Now, we've got a question. So someone has just asked, by the way, I'm looking down here because the questions are popping up in front of me. So it says, hey guys, looking good. So I use a manual pasta maker. So do I need a mixer to, get the best results? You do it's easier, isn't it? I think.
If you have so this setup with a mixer works really well because you can it's electric. The wheel, the runners are rolling, and you just put the pasta through. But you can use by hand, or you can use one of the hand machines. I mean, they all work really well. The nice thing about this is it's effortless, really, because you don't have much to do apart from just feed the pasta through.
It depends if you kind of want it as, I think, as a team effort with the family. I mean, I've watched Theo's restaurant on YouTube, and you watch the guys making the pasta. I mean, God, they're pros. And the way it comes through, they're kind of like feeding through with one hand, catching it with the other. I think if I was put myself in that same situation, I would most definitely be all fingers and thumbs and just throwing pasta everywhere.
Yeah, when you have like a whole... So when we make the pasta, we take like the ravioli and the cappelletti, we have, 3 people, one person rolling, one person folding, one person cutting. And that's how you can make, sort of 100 portions of stuffed pasta so quickly. So this pancetta is cooking really nice. As you can see in the pan, it's not, there's not loads and loads of oil, but there's some in there. Would you mind passing me that sieve with the bowl, please?
Yes, of course.
So we want to get a nice bit of crispiness on there. So leave that to go. And I'll let that cook gently. And so while that's cooking, to be as efficient as possible, I think we should start preparing the next dish, which is our chicken.
Hey, yeah.
dish.
So the next dish, if you remember, is actually an Italian tray bake, and it's got all sorts of different ingredients, very synonymous with Italy, of course.
Yeah. So this one is going to be, it's chicken legs. We've got potatoes, we've got fennel, we've got tomatoes, we've got thyme, and we've got garlic. And basically, I'm going to chop the fennel and the potatoes up, mix them all together with olive oil and the thyme and the garlic. And then we're going to put that into a tray with the chicken legs on top, and then we're just going to roast it. Okay, so let's get all these lovely ingredients together. And let's get potatoes. So these are red potatoes, Desiree potatoes. They're perfect for this dish because they're slightly waxy. Now you can use...
keep stirring that.
Yeah, let's just take that out. It's about ready now. So we'll just pop that straight into there. Pass me that bowl. So this is how easy it is. Actually, just put that on the surface and then just pop that pancetta and keep that, keep the oil, the fat from there.
So while you're doing that, Theo, someone has just come in with a question. So obviously this dish contains potatoes. This is the Italian tray bake.
Yeah.
What type of potatoes should you be using?
So I'm using Desiree here, but you could use any kind of waxy potato, like a Charlotte potato, or any kind of red potato would be good. Yeah. You can see this potato, it's quite sort of, it's very, very hard. It's not starchy at all.
There isn't anything at all. It's in fact quite dry.
It's quite dry, and that's what you want. And cut the potatoes with the skins on. The skins have got all the flavour. You don't need to cut the skins off.
So into nice little wedges, and that's of course so it cooks nice and evenly.
Yeah. And so we're going to just chop some of these up.
Should I pop these in the bowl?
Pop them in the bowl, please.
Yeah.
And then if you get me some olive oil.
Absolutely.
So pop those in. And then we've got our fennel, heads of fennel. Keep the greens, they're always really nice in a sauce or just as a garnish. And then cut the fennel like you would an onion. So I'll just show you that again. So we've got the fennel, take the outer bits off.
Are they woody? Are they too tough?
They can be very tough and stringy. So if you look at that, if I pull that, you can see it's quite stringy.
So like celery.
Like celery, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And then we just cut the fennel in half, and then we just cut into quarters or thirds, depending on the size of the fennel bulb.
Now I know in a lot of Italian dishes they do in fact cook with fennel, but it is a bit of a marmite. I think because it's that aniseed. If you've not ever had it before, it is quite strong. So if someone's cooking along tonight, what could they use as an alternative?
If you don't like fennel, then you could use onions, and I'd probably use like a red onion.
Okay.
And quarter the red onion.
Got you.
Fennel has got try fennel. It's got such an interesting flavour.
Yeah.
And it's quite sort of. It's got like natural sugar in there. So when you cook it, it kind of caramelizes and you get this incredible flavor.
That like sweetness that comes through that perhaps you don't necessarily think you would if it, when you're talking.
So smell that. That just smells of aniseed. It's very, very strong.
Lovely. But I'm an aniseed fan. I remember when I was as a kid, aniseed sweets were one of my favorites.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm not a normal child, but they are absolutely delicious. But I think, with this type of dish, because it's not just the fennel, you are putting in the tomatoes in there, you've got the potatoes, and then eventually we'll of course get the chicken. It isn't all fennel, is it? It is worth a try. I think it's delicious.
Fennel's part of the dish, but we've got garlic in here, and then we're going to add some olive oil. So we've got the potatoes, we've got the fennel, we've got garlic cloves, and I've left the garlic whole. I haven't, you can peel it. The problem is if you roast it at quite a high temperature, if it hasn't got the outside skin on it, it can burn. So
Okay.
it's very important not to do.
And am I right that it doesn't actually give you garlic breath if you roast it as well?
Yeah, it won't be as
just a
strong.
myth?
No. If you have raw garlic, it's going to make your breath stink. You'll have no friends at all. So just going to get the thyme. Just going to pull the thyme off these branches like so.
And this is one of those herbs that actually you do need to take the leaves off, don't you? You don't want to put the stalks because, well, I guess you can get some that are slightly less woody, but this particular one you've got here is very woody, isn't it?
It's quite woody, and also don't use lemon thyme. I find lemon thyme's too strong. It
sounds good though.
Yeah, but it's got a kind of that lemon verbena, which can overpower the dish. And just this sort of regular thyme is I just find it much nicer. So
it smells delicious.
It is lovely.
Yeah.
It's such a nice herb. I mean,
really,
it's
really
one of my favorite herbs to use, particularly when you're roasting, because it's kind of there's the little leaves are small and they don't really burn, particularly when you mix with the olive oil. So you get this really nice sort of seasoning. So salt and pepper. Give me salt and pepper.
And we can get some more salt and pepper.
Okay, so just mix that all together. And then go.
Tell me when to stop.
Wipe my hands.
Seasoning is the most important thing, is that right?
Well, I mean, seasoning is very important. When you cook, it's very important to season as you cook. And also this recipe, the great thing about this recipe, we're taking a lot of the faff out. So, you could blanch the potatoes, you could blanch the fennel, and then you could mix it all together. But we're doing this all in one go, so it all cooks together.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of makes such a difference to the dish. It just makes it much more kind of something you could do a sort of midweek or even the weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely an evening meal, isn't it? But like you said, with this dish, ordinarily, so if someone hasn't got the oven we're about to use in a minute, and you want to kind of cook this dish in stages, you would absolutely recommend blanching the potatoes, so like putting in some pan of boiling water for how long?
Well, I mean, you want to put the potatoes in the water and bring it to the boil. You don't want to cook it all the way through, but we're leaving the skins on, so they kind of hold together quite nicely.
Okay.
But I would probably put the fennel in first. You get that lovely aniseed flavour in the water.
Yeah, and that will then season and flavour the potatoes as well.
Then you add the potatoes, and then you make sure you got salt in the water, so it's all sort of seasoned. But that's going to take a bit of time, and you got it on the stove. But it's the best way to do it.
Good things come to those who wait, though, isn't it? If you put the investment in the dish to start off with, you often get something back out of it at the end. Now, we're obviously cooking today with chicken. So essentially in the bowl, just a reminder for everyone, we've got the potatoes, we've got the tomatoes, we've got the fennel, we've got the thyme, we've got salt, pepper, olive oil, but we're going to top it with the chicken. Now, somebody's asked us if they're pescatarian, so of course fish.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
What fish would you recommend as an alternative?
Well, potato and fennel goes with anything. So you could, on this, I would probably put something like I would get some sea bass. I would cook the potatoes and fennel first, so they're cooked through, and then maybe I would seal off a sea bass fillet, or even some salmon would be perfectly nice.
Okay.
But just roast the salmon on top in a nice thick fillet, or the sea bass fillet. I would seal it in the pan and put it on top. But you could just use that as a garnish. It would be very, very nice.
Lovely. Okay, I like the alternatives. Perfect.
So we've got the tomatoes in there. These are I've just got a nice variety of little tomatoes. We've got the little yellow and orange and yellow tomatoes. They're quite sweet. They all taste the same. I mean, that tastes the same as that. It's just got a nice colour and nice flavour.
So this is definitely going to be a good dish. Like when everyone's doing their home growing at the moment, when they do come to fruition, this is going to be a great recipe where you can absolutely, put your tomatoes in, use them up. Because I'm guessing you use tomatoes a lot for pasta sauces.
Yeah, lots of tomato and pasta sauces. Can you get me the roasting tray?
Yep, just below you, just there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. But it's
That's all right.
Organised on that. And then we're just going to pop the olive oil onto the tray, and then we're just going to give that a little bit of a rub, like so. And then I'm going to pop it there, and we're just going to pop this all into the tray. So we've got the potatoes, we've got the tomatoes, we've got the fennel, we've got the garlic. And then we're just going to, can I just give you that?
Yeah, of course. And
then we've got our chicken. So the chicken, so I'll pop that there. The chicken, we're just going to get a bit more olive oil. And the olive oil, we're just going to sort of put some of the fresh thyme and some more salt and pepper, please.
More salt and pepper.
And then
it's like being in a professional kitchen, everybody. I feel like I want to say yes, chef.
Yeah, I'm bossing you around a bit.
No, I quite like being bossed.
Okay, and then we just get some of the fennel, pop the fennel on. The thyme.
Now, while you're doing that, Theo, we keep alluding to the fact that we're going to cook it slightly differently tonight, and the fact that you know, to get to this stage, you would probably want to blanch, etc. But we're going to be using a brand new oven that we've just launched. Actually, it's really exciting. So if we're talking about quick midweek meals, this one is absolutely for you, because we don't actually have to do any of this. We're going to take, and it took a bit of convincing, didn't it? When we were chatting about what are we going to cook tonight, he was like, no, you need to blanch it. But actually, when we tested this, I've proven wrong. So I feel like I'm winning at life already. So what we've got here is we've got a regular oven. It's not preheated, but we're actually going to be using a combined set of cooking functions. So we're going to introduce some steam into the cooking. And the beauty of introducing the steam is, in fact, of course, it's going to do that blanching for us. So it really does take that step away. So we've got the steam working on the potatoes. How long do you normally cook this in the oven for?
So I would normally cook this for about 50 minutes. And I'd probably, if I blanch all the potatoes and the chicken, I'll probably put a bit of tinfoil on top and cook it. So 50 minutes to an hour, I would say.
Okay. So before I tell you how long it's going to take in this oven, if we're going to be steaming in the oven, of course, the water has to make its way into the oven. So I've actually got a tube that's coming out of my oven here. The oven is essentially having a drink, and it's going to take it inside so that during the cooking process, it can inject some of that steam to help blanch and cook those potatoes. Now, Theo said it's going to take an hour. It's actually only going to take half an hour.
No.
Yes way, because we are going to add in some microwave as well. And I think when you microwave, people get a bit scared when they combine it with the normal oven as well, that it dries it out. But again, that steam has a huge impact. So all we have to do is pop it into the oven. We're going to put it on this shelf position, so number 2.
So this oven is microwave as well?
Yeah, and it's cold, look, totally cold.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's microwave, it's steam, and it is oven. You can use it all independently. So you could use it as a steamer if you wanted. You could use it a microwave on its own. But of course, what we are going to do today is actually have all of it working all together at the same time to cook this fabulous dish with just one dish in just 30 minutes. So it's absolutely amazing. So proof will be in the tasting, and I think the best test is absolutely Theo to see if it is up to his standards.
Okay, so chicken's in the oven.
Chicken's in the oven.
Pancetta's cooked for the pasta. We've got the asparagus cut. Now we need to do is roll out the pasta.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Let's get the pasta.
So the pasta's been resting. It's good to go. It's going to go through the roller much easier, because I think if we were to put it through the roller too early, what we'd often find is, of course, that it would spring back and it wouldn't cut as nicely, would it?
No, it wouldn't. And the nice thing is having the pasta just at this stage, because then you can really work the pasta to the right sort of thickness and consistency.
Right.
So we've got 2 bits of dough there. Let's put this one through.
You're going to knead it first. Just give it a little whisk.
I've done the kneading already, so I'm just going to put this through on the widest setting and just put it through a few times. And we're just going to fold it, keep going down. And
just keep rolling.
And that dough is, the important thing is that you just keep the dough going through. And I'm not actually adjusting the thickness yet. I'm just putting it through the machine. And so just pulling it along, using the natural, like using sort of gravity to stretch the dough.
Perfect.
I'm then going to do that like 3 or 4 times. And then we're going to go down 1 notch on the machine.
So keep making it thinner and thinner. And on this, you've got little markers. So you're just going down 1 number at a time.
Exactly. And I'm sort of pulling the pasta through, and just do that a few more times.
See, with the dough that I've used before, I've always been so delicate with it. But I think your dough is much tougher than I ever anticipated. And I'm sure you said to me, it allows you to go thinner.
Yeah, so if you look at that, feel that dough, it's quite silky, isn't it?
Yeah, but still quite thick.
But that's because of the egg yolk in there. So remember, we've got 4 egg yolks, 2 whole eggs,
yes,
and the flour. So you've got this very sort of silky texture, and that will allow the pasta to dry that much quicker.
It looks beautiful. Now, we have had another question come into the chat, so thank you. Keep putting those questions into the chat box. But a question that's come through is, will the chicken that we've put into the oven in one go with steam, microwave and oven still be crispy? Well, I can guarantee that it totally will, because it is going to be using the oven. And in fact, the oven is at 240 degrees. And then, of course, the steam's coming in, the microwave's coming in. It's doing its magic all in one go to allow us to get crispy skin, beautifully crisp but sweet and soft potatoes in the middle, And of course, that lovely, roasted of the tomatoes and the fennel.
Sounds amazing.
Ooh, I'm getting so excited now. So excited.
Okay, so we've rolled out our pasta sheet. So that's our pasta sheet. When you can sort of see the silhouette of your hand behind the pasta, that's about the right thickness. Remember, we're making tagliatelle, so it can't be too thin. It should have a bit of a bite to it, so it shouldn't be too thin.
Anybody else ever find themselves not getting? Oh, hang on a minute. I feel better now. Theo's just cut his pasta.
Always cut the pasta, because if you cut the pasta and put it through in one big piece, you'll end up with all these bits of pasta, and then when you cut it, all the pasta will stick together.
Yeah.
So it's very important to do nice, simple ones. Now let's stop this machine. Now we've also got a cutter. So here we have a fettuccine cutter. So we're going to pop that in. So that goes in.
A little bit higher, I think. That's it. Perfect.
And then we're going to turn that on. And so what's happening? Those rollers are just rolling away. And then we just pop this into the cutters.
And if you don't have a cutter, am I right? You can kind of take the dough and kind of roll it in like so, and then use a knife to manually cut it.
So you can do exactly that. You put some semolina flour, and then you roll it up, and then you cut it with a knife, and then just cut thin pieces.
And I think the other question I have for you, because I love the idea of fresh pasta, but and you're doing it super fast because, of course, Theo's a chef and his restaurant has lots of pasta on the menu, and you've made God I don't know how many. But on a midweek, is it a practical dish? Something you can do in advance to?
Okay, so what we have here is the pasta dough which I made. I've got a plastic bag. Get the dough, put it into a bag, seal it, and pop that in the freezer.
Okay.
And if you want to make pasta during the week, take out the bag, defrost the dough thoroughly, and then when it's defrosted, add a bit of semolina flour or flour, and then put it through the machine or roll it by hand. And that way it sort of takes out the faff of having to make the dough every time. Yeah, exactly.
You're a bit more like ready to go. And pasta, for me, is always a quick meal. That's what I associate it with. But obviously, this is a bit more involved, but preparation is key.
But you saw me make the pasta dough, and actually it was quite quick and easy, really. I know I was kind of struggling, and I was red-faced, and I was moving it around. But actually, once you start going and you've got the bowl, and you haven't got flour all over the kitchen floor, it actually is quite easy to make. So don't be put off.
It isn't. It is easy, and I think your recipe is fantastic. Now, someone has just asked us, in terms of the pasta roller, when we were actually rolling it through and making it thinner and thinner, what setting it was on. So on the Smeg machines, if you have one of these, on the side, you've got the dial, and the 0 is your fattest setting, so the widest setting. And then you worked your way all the way down to which number?
Well, I kind of did it by eye, really, but I guess sort of 1.5. I mean, you don't want to go too thin. If you go really, really thin, then it becomes very hard to cut.
Sure. So. Okay. Yeah. So, and of course, remember that lots of different pasta machines have different settings. So you just want to work your way backwards to make it go thinner and thinner. This one goes up.
Exactly. Okay. So pasta's made.
And we're going to let that dry now.
We're going to let that dry now because it's dry. We've got the asparagus cut. We've got the pancetta for the carbonara.
Sure.
So what we need to do now is melt the chocolate for our Torta Barozzi, which is it's a dessert from Bologna, and it comes from a cafe called Cafe Barozzi. And what it is chocolate and butter. There's eggs and sugar and coffee and a bit of rum, just for good measure.
Coffee, good point. I'm going to put the
coffee machine on. And it's one of those desserts. It's so simple. When you make it, you think, oh, this is the most simplest dessert I've ever made. But actually, it's got so much flavor. We're just going to do little individual ones. Now, normally I put this on a bain-marie, but you've got other ideas.
Again, I'm always here to challenge Theo. And
always.
I know. I'm sorry, like in just many ways today. But I think chocolate is such a sensitive beast. And I think this is why you chefs get precious about it. Sorry, precious, that sounds really harsh. But, what do you do a bain-marie? So that's just a pan of water, a little bit.
I'm not being precious. I have so many chefs that burn chocolate. I mean, you put chocolate on the stove, they go off, go and do something else, and the flames get stuck on the side, and you end up with a chocolate coating.
Yeah,
so sure. You're absolutely right.
You have to treat it with respect, don't
you?
So bain-marie would be the ideal. If you've got an induction hob like we've got here and you're cooking along with your Smeg appliance, of course, you can put the chocolate directly in the base of the pan, but you just need to have it on the lowest setting. And like you said, don't walk away from it because you don't want to, let it catch and it just go over. So you can do it those ways, but we have, in fact, we mentioned we're using the microwave with the chicken and it's really even. It's going to make this very fast but beautifully cooked chicken. Part of that's because we've got the most amazing microwave. And we're going to use the microwave actually to melt our chocolate, which, to be honest, I always get a little bit nervous about, but I'm pretty confident with this one. And I'm going to put the butter in as well.
Put the butter in, yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
So in terms of quantities, and I am just going to check my quantity list, we have in fact got 230 grams of chocolate and we've got 150 grams of butter in this dish. And I'm going to pop it into this one here. So just on the middle shelf, because this microwave in here is pretty awesome, it does actually have a specific melting function. It's going to create a nice constant flow of microwaves, and therefore we're going to get a really good and easy result. So let me choose my melt. And in fact, I think the melting function, when I take a look at it, is only going to take 3 minutes to bring that chocolate to a beautiful, smooth, and of course the butter's there to protect it a little bit.
Yeah.
But actually it's going to be lovely and smooth, which you need to do for this Torta Barozzi. I can't say it like you do. Torta Barozzi recipe.
Okay, so I've got some egg yolks and I've got some egg whites.
I'm going to take the rum away so people can see what you do.
Take the rum away. And then we put the egg yolks in there and the sugar. So you've got some fine caster sugar in with the egg yolks. You know what we're going to do? We're basically going to mix that together until it goes nice and sort of creamy coloured.
And you've got a job for me as well, haven't you?
Well, you've got to whisk the egg whites.
I'm going to whisk the egg whites.
Give you those.
Oh,
Pop in there.
Got a bit of shell
in there. Sorry about that.
Is there? Can't get the staff, can you? So I'm going to use the eggshell. This is my little tip, actually. Just use the eggshell to just scoop out any shell that might have made it into the white. And I find that it just attracts any of that to make sure we can go nice and smooth. So this is going to be a bit of a race at this point, isn't it?
Well, you've got to kind of get it all together and get it in the oven. So
okay.
That's sort of blending nicely. You're going to do the egg whites there. The chocolate's melting. Let's see how the chocolate's doing.
And to what level do we need to whisk these?
You want to like soft peak, I would say.
Okay. So we'll go even higher. Go nice and high on that. Okay.
I see. Look how quickly that's almost sort of creamy already. And then we're going to get those whites, and then we've got our rum.
So we're going to take these to a nice stiff peak.
Nice soft peak.
So not like a meringue.
Not quite as hard as a meringue. A little bit under. We don't want to sort of fold it in.
Can you tell me when to stop?
I'll tell you when to stop. Keep going.
Okay, I'm going to keep going.
Keep going.
How's that chocolate doing?
Coming along very nicely.
Yeah, just make sure we start again. Okay, good.
So there we go. That's looking good. And then I think those whites are ready. So
that means I won.
Last split.
I'm not competitive at all.
Okay, and then we've got our lovely egg yolks and sugar mixed together. And I can do that. And then we've got our chocolate. Can we get the chocolate out? Oh, I'll get the chocolate out. I've got the cloth.
Oh, wow.
Is that ready?
Yeah, looking good.
I think so it is.
Yeah.
So there we go. Can you see the chocolate and the butter all mixed nicely?
Beautifully melted.
And then we're going to mix that all together so it all kind of combines.
And the Torta Barozzi, in my mind, and I'm sorry if there's anybody from Italy that's on this, but it's kind of like a brownie, but a really posh brownie.
It is actually very much like a brownie. It's pretty much exactly the same ingredients. I mean, it's just got that's a little bit of sophistication with the coffee.
And it sounds so good rum. When you say Torta Barozzi. I can't do it.
Barozzi. Okay.
But it's got nuts in it, haven't it? So I do need to do a job for you as well, and that is just to
so you need to put chop the almonds up.
And you don't necessarily have to use almonds, do you? You can use different nuts. Or...
You could use. I mean, I've had it made with hazelnuts, and it's absolutely delicious. But yeah, any kind of almonds or hazelnuts work fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so a question's just popped up in the chat, and this is not planted, but this is the best question.
Okay.
Okay, Theo, do you have Smeg at home?
I have a Smeg A3 oven, which I've had for 14 years. And it's one of those ovens, it's got like two ovens, one small, one's like 40 centimetre and one's like 60 centimetre.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant when it's just like two of you at home, to cook something. And then when the kids are at home, then I can put something like a big roast in, or I can do a whole fish and use the whole oven. Or you can have both ovens going at the same time.
So have you genuinely, have you always had Smeg?
I'm a huge fan of Smeg, as you know, and I've had every kitchen I've ever had. I've always had a Smeg oven. I've gone from a Smeg A1 oven to a Smeg A2 oven, And now I'm on a Smeg A3.
Oh my God, you're working way up, all the way to the really big one that we do in the range.
But the thing about being a chef is you want to have like the biggest oven you possibly can.
Is it like having the best sports car?
Well, it is, I guess. And so I want, but no, it gets to the point where you think that's just too much.
No.
It's just too big.
And
It's very tempting.
I did know that, Thea had a Smeg oven. It'd be rude for me not to know that. And we were just chatting earlier today, and I said, do you use it much, and do you cook much at home? But I think recently it's really gone through its paces, hasn't it? Because you've got a new cookbook coming out.
So I've got a new cookbook coming out in September, the Italian Pantry Cookbook, and I did a book in lockdown, the Italian Deli Cookbook, and all of the recipes were tested and cooked on in my kitchen at home. So the Smeg oven was used an awful lot. So yes, thank you, Smeg.
I know.
Okay, so I've got some rum in here. We've got some coffee as well.
Okay. We've got a lot of coffee. I was not paying attention.
Just want a little drop of coffee, just a little tick. That's enough.
Okay.
And then we're going to give a good old lick of rum.
A bit more. Go on, just a bit more.
Okay.
I do like rum. I'm not going to lie.
I know. Okay, so we're just going to mix that all together. So that the coffee, the rum, the chocolate, the almonds, they're all mixed together nicely. And then we're going to mix that in here. So I'm going to fold this all together. So
a very important question has just popped up in the chat box. Should it be rum, or could you use something like Tia Marie or Bailey's?
You could use anything really. I mean, I probably wouldn't use Bailey's, but
it's creamy because it's creamy.
A bit creamy.
Okay.
But I think something we could use. You could even use whiskey. Now, whiskey is absolutely delicious with chocolate. So anything you've got really, any kind of liqueur. So can you just see that? So you've got this lovely sort of creamy consistency of the egg yolks, the sugar, the almonds, the chocolate, the coffee, the rum, all together. Now we're going to fold it in a little bit at a time.
And so you don't have to use a metal spoon?
No, I'm just using a spatula.
Oh, okay. So
just a little spatula. Just fold that in, just so you keep that air in there. It's very important you keep the air.
Be gentle.
We've got time.
Right, absolutely. Now, talking, we've had another question, and this is the aprons. I mean, you do model the apron very well. Somebody's asked, is it a clothing line for Smeg? It is not.
Oh, really? Yeah, that is such a compliment. Whoever that person is, thank you. I love you.
It's not a clothing line per se, but we do have them for sale in our London facility. So yes, if you would like to buy one of these gorgeous aprons, then they are available for sale. So perfect. I knew there was a reason we got you in tonight, and that was to be our clothing model.
That's I feel very honoured for that.
Wow.
Forget the cooking. Okay, so there we go. So let's just make sure we've got all that egg white has been.
And you can see it, can't you, in the bottom? If you've made, to make sure it's all mixed in, you shouldn't have any of that dark chocolate at the very bottom of the bowl.
And then with this other thing, we just pour it in. So pour what we need per one. Okay.
And you can make this, we're making this in little dishes so that today you can really, see it from start to finish. But you can absolutely do this in a bigger, flan dish. And I would say probably like a 9-inch, would you say?
Yeah.
And then you get that nice thick Torta Barozzi at the end.
Yeah, and when it cooks, let it really cool down. And then, you've got this a lovely cake. And it will last. I mean, the thing is this, it's a really kind of juicy cake. It's got all that butter and chocolate in there. It's always kind of gooey. But as I said, it is a bit like a brownie, I suppose. You could actually do it on a brownie tray and bake it like a brownie. It would just be a very, very, very...
It's less flash, but you could eat it in, good slabs, which I like.
Well, I mean, rum and coffee.
Sounds like heaven.
Okay, I'm going to put that over here.
Lovely. Now, in terms of this, when we normally come to cook this in the oven, you would just bake it, wouldn't you? But do you in the professional kitchen have a bit of steam coming in as well? So
a little bit of steam will help it rise nicely, and you'll get a nice kind of it'll keep it really kind of juicy. You won't get that kind of dry crust on it, which can sometimes be counteracted because you end up having that very dry, crispy top, and then it's a bit too gooey in the middle. So when you cut it, can break up. So a little bit of steam will be really useful.
Okay, so I have put my oven on, and I am actually going to preheat this time. So with this one, we don't really need to worry about it preheating because it's chicken.
It's smelling good.
And it's getting hot, and it's smelling really good. But with this one, am I right that when you bake, you absolutely need to make sure that the oven is hot from the start.
Always preheat your oven when you're baking. Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very important.
And temperature-wise, we're working to 175. So if you are cooking along today, we're also using the top and bottom heat. So heat from the top, heat from the bottom. So just make sure you put those torta barozzi in the middle of the oven to make sure you get the gradual transfer so it cooks nice and evenly. You could use the fan function, but I think when you've got that top and bottom, it's going to keep it really nice and moist and have that goo that we know from the brownie.
Exactly.
So, brilliant. Okay, so I've already put steam in this oven. I say steam. I've put water in there, so it's good to go. So all we need to do is literally just pop the dishes into the oven and let the oven do its thing. Brilliant stuff. So the total cook time of this is only about 17 minutes. It doesn't take very, very long at all. So we can just leave that be and wait for the beep for it to finish. Now, we've had another question that's come in when it comes to, I think people are really into their coffee these days. I know at Smeg, our coffee machine range just seems to be growing every single day. But in terms of beans, is there a particular bean you would use? Would you get that particular? Or?
I love a kind of dark beans. I love Arabica, like 100% Arabica. So I like those kind of really dark coffees. I'm not a big fan of this sort of like fruity kind of coffees. I like the classic old. I mean, old school, but a classic old Italian coffee. Where you get that strong espresso and it's kind of got that creamy head and it's just really rounded. It just smells of coffee. And that sounds a really silly thing to say, but it just smells like really lovely roasted.
And I think with the dish, of course, by putting the coffee in of that kind of strong Italian, it's going to really kind of, the flavour's going to come through. You're going to get that coffee, that rum, that chocolate hit.
Exactly. And I think having coffee from espresso is the best way to have it.
Oh, love it. And I've got another question. Okay. So can I ask Theo, how could we get the steam effect in my normal oven if you haven't got one of the Smeg ovens?
So if you're making something like focaccia or something and you need some steam in the oven, the best thing to do is to get a roasting tray, boil the kettle, pour the boiling water into the roasting tray, pop it in the oven 10 minutes before you're going to cook.
Okay.
And then what will happen is you'll get this ambient steam in the oven.
Yeah.
And then when you put the bit of bread or the focaccia or whatever you want to steam, that will give you the moisture.
Okay.
It's just because what's going to happen is the heat from the pan is going to evaporate all the moisture, so therefore it will create the sort of steam effect.
Got you. So a similar effect to what we've got going on here, because it's going to help it lift, rise, and give it that kind of moisture that you want.
Exactly.
Lovely. Okay.
So let's go this pasta. So let's get the pan here.
Yeah, no problem. Whilst you're doing that, I'm going to just answer another question. Is the melted chocolate hot, or hot added to the cold yolk? It doesn't start to cook it?
I would say it was sort of warm. Yeah. I mean, I mix it quite a lot.
So ideally,
I kind of cooled it down. But if you leave it too long, then it'll solidify. So, but the fact it's got a lot of butter in there, you can cool it down. But yes, I did add it warm. Yes.
Okay, so you're brave. I like it.
Well, I'm a bit brave. Yeah, it's got to be
brave
said.
and bold. Okay, should we check on our chicken to see how it's doing?
Already, it can't be.
Well, I don't know. It's only got. Let me have a look. Well, there's a few more minutes. Let's leave it for a little bit.
I think leave it. I think with chicken, you should be able to smell it around the house. You should have that kind of
Is that
amazing. Well, that's my theory on lots of things. If you can smell it, a lot of the time,
unless it's gone too far.
Yeah, it's gone too far. But you can smell it. Generally means that it's cooked.
Okay.
So that's that's my little tip. Okay, so we've got our tagliatelle. We've got our asparagus. Pass me the asparagus.
Absolutely.
And the pancetta.
So
and those 2 eggs and the parmesan.
Yeah, we've got our asparagus. There you go.
There's the pancetta.
And finally, we've got our parmesan and eggs.
So I'm going to make a crema. So with the crema, we're going to mix 2 egg yolks in with the parmesan cheese. And we're going to add a little bit of pasta water.
Do you want me to find something to catch the egg yolks?
I've got the whites here. So let me go straight in there.
Fine, perfect.
And then we're going to, if you just pass me a fork, that would be great.
Okay, we might need to grab another fork.
It's okay, I've got a spoon. I can use a spoon.
Yeah,
that's fine. And then just mix the egg yolk and the parmesan together. Okay, so that's sort of the basis of it.
And is that what's going to create the creamy consistency that we know and love from a carbonara without the cream, like you said at the beginning?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is when the sauce is going to kind of cling onto that pasta. It's going to like hold onto the pasta. And as you got the egg yolk in and there's no cream, it's going to cook that much quicker. You've got to be quite careful and you've got to be a bit bold, but you've got to be sort of confident with it. So we'll season this up. So a bit of salt, a bit of pepper.
So, you know, when you're seasoning something like this, you can't taste it. So how do you know how much to put in?
I just put a little bit of salt. I've got the pancetta now. I'm conscious I add too much salt, but I just want a little bit in there.
And I guess you can actually try and do that a little bit later as well.
Yes,
so you
exactly.
Taste it as you go.
Exactly. I'm trying to find a ladle. Have we got a ladle? Here we go. I've got one here.
Brilliant.
And then I'm just going to get some of this pasta water. You think, oh my God, it's going to turn to scrambled eggs. Just put the hot water in and then just give it a good stir very quickly. And then that's what we're going to throw into the pasta once it's cooked. So that's
it's not cooking it, guys, at all.
That's what we need. So we'll just put that to one side. So we've got the eggs there. Now let's turn this up to the highest temperature, which is what?
Power.
Power.
It's going to draw some power from the other to get it to a nice
asparagus. That asparagus is going to go into the water. So in it goes. And we're going to cook that for a minute or so because English asparagus, it's got quite a distinctive flavour. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but when you have English asparagus, just eat as much as you possibly can.
And how long have we got to go before
we've got like 5-6 weeks of English asparagus season. So eat lots of asparagus.
It's good for you.
It's very good for you, and it's so great, to make like pasta dishes, make a risotto.
Yeah.
One of my favourite ways of having asparagus. This is quite a good tip. Get some asparagus, wash it in water, pop it in a pan, add a little drop of olive oil and salt and pepper, and then put a lid on the pan. And then just shake it.
Okay.
And what happens is the moisture in the asparagus cooks the asparagus. So you get a maximum flavour of the asparagus without sort of boiling it. When you boil it, you're going to slightly dilute it.
Yeah.
And then take it out in the same pan, wipe the pan, get a bit of butter, fry a couple of eggs, put the egg on top of, once the egg's nice and runny, put the egg on top of the asparagus and then grate a bit of Parmesan on top.
So in its
simple
purest form.
And so delicious.
Wow, lovely. Now, this recipe is asparagus carbonara, but we have snuck some pancetta in, and someone is asking us, can we use something other than pancetta?
You don't actually have to add the pancetta. The pancetta is just something that just gives it an extra flavour. You could just add, I mean, I would just have it, the asparagus, the butter, the egg, and the Parmesan. I mean, you don't actually need anything else. It just adds that extra taste.
I guess the whole with the pancetta, though, if you do like pancetta and you do eat it, is it has got that saltiness, and the fact that you've already crisped it off in the pan means that you're going to get that kind of crunch. Would you put anything else on top if you didn't have a pancetta to get that crunchy?
Well, you could use breadcrumbs. So you could use like some fried breadcrumbs, what the Italians call pan grattato, which is you basically get some breadcrumbs, a little bit of olive oil, and then you fry the breadcrumbs to give it that
just in a pan.
In the pan. And in Southern Italy, they call it poor man's Parmesan. It's basically something, and it tastes delicious. If you put a little bit of garlic in there and some herbs, it can add a really lovely dimension to pasta. Some of the simplest of pastas are just the pasta with a little bit of some herbs and some breadcrumbs.
I can feel myself going home and just doing this and putting this on top of every pasta dish, which is not going to be anything good for my waistline.
Okay, so going back to the pasta. So this pasta's been sitting here and it's drying out, but it's not dried out enough. So I would make the pasta like an hour before and cut the pasta and let's let it sit. So I made this like an hour ago and you can see how dried it is. And that's what you want. That's going to give you that lovely al dente bite, you see? It's not.
Well, it is just literally kind of breaks up.
It breaks up, and that's why it's so important to dry the pasta. So
would you ever freeze it though? At this
never
point?
Never at this stage. I freeze the dough base, but never freeze the actual dried pasta, the cut pasta. It'll just stick together when it defrosts.
Okay, because of the moisture in the freezer.
Exactly.
Got you.
So when it defrosts, there's moisture in the pasta. They stick and go all sort of cloggy. So let's turn that back up again. Always cook pasta on a high heat.
You've got to have that nice rolling boil to keep it all separate.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then can you pass me that lovely little sieve?
Yeah.
And I'm going to get some of this pasta water.
Okay.
And add that to this pan. So that keeps the pasta really nice and juicy. So just cook those. And our pasta is going to take a couple of minutes to cook. Asparagus is in there. So the pasta is going to take on the flavour of the asparagus. I'm going to get a pair of tongs. And then we're just going to... Oh, that's so fast. Look at that.
There you go. I've turned it right down there. But look how it's just died away so quickly. We're all right.
Okay, so just move that around so that the tagliatelle is cooking. Now, Italians are obsessed, and quite rightly so, about how pasta's cooked. It should have a bite. It should be chewy.
That's the al dente.
That's the al dente to the tooth. It shouldn't be soft. It's like, food's not all about flavour. It's also about texture.
Yeah. And
pasta is one thing that has to have texture, like risotto. Now, the key thing to do is to finish the pasta in the pan. So this is sort of half cooked. I'm going to take this out now. and I'm going to add it to the water here. Let's turn this heat up.
So it's not a case of is it floating at the top. It's with this dish particularly, it's all about just catching it just before it's cooked.
Yeah.
So literally just a minute or so.
Exactly. So get all that asparagus out. Now the thing is, you know, for instance, if you're cooking fresh pasta, takes like no time at all. This has taken a couple of minutes to cook. If you're cooking something like the classic things like spaghetti, for instance, like spaghetti tomato sauce, you got a pound of tomato sauce in, you got your spaghetti. You know, there's 3 of you for dinner. You put the whole packet in.
Yeah.
You cook it. It says 10 minutes on the packet. You put the egg timer on for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you go over to the sink. You pour into the colander. You get loads and loads of steam. You think, oh my God, I've got so much pasta in relation to sauce. Never cook pasta like that ever again.
So you're all about the weigh, aren't you?
Always weigh out the pasta. So the pasta is 125 grams per person. Have your tomato sauce. There's 3 people. It's going to be 2/3 of a packet. Your cupboard's going to be full of little packets of pasta.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Okay.
Take the pasta out with a pair of tongs. Cook it 3 minutes less than the packet says. Packet says 10 minutes. Cook it for 7 minutes. Take it out. It'll still be raw in the middle. Take the pasta, put the pasta in, a couple of ladles of the pasta water, and then just cook that pasta on the stove. Wow. So what happens is all the starch thickens the sauce. You know, this lovely pasta. It's exactly the same way with this. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to toss that a bit.
I'm loving this masterclass on pasta, by the way. And I like the fact that, you know, it's not a bad thing always to, you know, buy pasta, is it? Because there are different grades of pasta. So if you don't want to make it yourself from scratch, you can buy pasta. But is there a certain type that, you know, people should buy instead of? So
you can get lots of different types of pasta. Fresh pasta, obviously, it's best to make yourself. Or if you're going to buy dry pasta, there are some very good brands, as in fresh egg pasta. It gets a bit confusing here because you have fresh egg dried pasta. But what I'm talking about is things like spaghetti, penne, rigatoni. Yeah. Now, if you're going to go really to town, buy what they call bronze dye pasta.
This one.
And the reason for that is bronze dye pasta, the bronze, when they put the pasta through, which is basically semolina flour and water, they extrude it. And the bronze dye will add a texture to the pasta, whereas a cheaper pasta, like what sort of like a supermarket packet pasta, which is nothing wrong with it, but it won't have that texture, so it won't hold the sauce as well. Also, the quality of the flour with the dried pasta with bronze dye pasta is much better quality.
Okay.
So you pay quite a difference.
You do pay
it's about
more.
3 times the price, but it does make a massive difference.
Because it's holding the sauce. And actually, you know, supermarkets these days, you can get hold of that bronze dye pasta, can't you? And you
Easily.
Really do see the difference. And I think if you take just your regular pasta, it just goes through those really big, flat, shiny rollers. And when you come to eat it, it's just the sauce is slipping off the pasta. So you're right. It's worth investment. If you're not going to make it from scratch, at least do that.
Okay, so I've added the eggs and the parmesan. Take it off the heat, and then just work that egg and parmesan together with the asparagus.
Has anybody else ever wanted to be able to do that, and especially with asparagus?
All right,
and
I'll do it with a spoon.
I'd be covered in it.
And then just check the seasoning. It's probably going to need some salt and pepper. It is.
Yep. So
a bit of salt and pepper. Take it off the heat. Don't have it on the heat. If you have it on the heat, it'll turn to scrambled eggs.
Okay.
So black pepper. Now this is what this is sort of, you need to have that pasta water always on. So you add that little bit of pasta water.
I'm glad I didn't take that
just
away.
to keep it really nice and juicy. And then again, give a nice toss. And then just keep that nice, wet and juicy. I'm going to pop a little bit more pasta water in there. Just keep that to one side. So all those flavors of the asparagus, the eggs and the parmesan will just cook nicely. I'm going to turn that heat right down, literally on nothing. And these pans are brilliant because they really keep the heat. They're really good.
We sent you some,
heat.
Didn't we? I have to admit, we did send, not the cooker, but we did send Theo the pans just a few weeks ago. And you've been playing with them, haven't you? And been doing all sorts. Did you say you did soup the other week?
I made a soup and it was incredible. It just cooked beautifully. So, but what's nice about them is, one, that they're very sturdy. They've got rivets on them. And the great thing about them is that the non-stick surface doesn't wear off. It's very, very solid. And
you can chuck it in the oven as well, which I like. Just brown things off. I do think we should check our chicken. I'm going by your chef advice.
Okay.
So I can start to smell the chicken.
That's good. That's a good.
So I do think we should.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
What do we think? A little bit longer?
I say a little bit longer.
A little bit longer. We're starting to get a bit of colour on that.
Just get a bit of colour in there, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So, and then how's the Torta Barozzi looking?
The Torta Barozzi. I don't want to open the oven door. That's right?
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
But we've got a little light. We can have a little look and see how it's doing. But it's rising nicely. little divot in the middle. If you were going for a chocolate molten pudding, I think we're about ready now. You know, that glossy bit in the middle, but maybe a few more minutes. It's saying
the perfect fondant.
Yeah, the perfect point. An undercooked chocolate pudding. Love it.
So on this, so let's just talk about this dish. So we put the chicken in. So we cut the potatoes. We added the fennel. We added the tomatoes. We added the garlic. We added the thyme, salt and pepper.
Yeah.
So really simple preparation.
Yeah.
And then mixed it all together. Popped it into the oven. Now you could cover it with tin foil and steam it. That's one way of doing it. Or alternatively, the more sort of like slightly longer way of doing it is to blanch the potatoes and the fennel and then mix it together and put it in the oven. But we've done it without any of that, and it's almost ready.
It's almost
now,
ready.
How come it's almost ready? What's in the oven? What's...
Because, as I said, it does use the different combinations. So I think normally when you go to design a kitchen, you know, you'd go for an oven.
Yeah.
You probably get a microwave that goes alongside it. And you might think about a steam oven. It's a bit out there because not many people use them at home. But actually, I mean, steam ovens are amazing because they do not just fish, vegetables. They do, you know, rice, pasta, you know, pulses. You can even melt chocolate in a steam oven-proof dough if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
So you've got the steam, you've got the microwave, but with this one, rather than having to pick an appliance to go into your kitchen design, you can actually just get the one. Now, this is in a what I call a normal oven size, but you can even start to get them in the smaller ones as well. So it really allows you to even have like a main oven, and then this oven that is all singing, all dancing. You can use it to steam your vegetables. You could use it to, you know, reheat your plated meal if you want to, or a cup of milk. Or you can really get clever and start combining all of these functions in the one to cook things in 30 minutes.
Sorry to stop you. I need that plate to make the pasta. Okay, the pasta's going to overcook. So let's get the pasta ready. So
which one do you want?
That one there.
That one.
And we're just going to give that a toss. So that's beautiful tagliatelle. We're just going to make sure it's not sticking together. There we go. And then put the asparagus on top.
So while you're serving, Theo, this is a good opportunity to ask any questions if you haven't done so already. But one has come through, so we'll go for it. So all these dishes look fab. Are any of them suitable for freezing?
Are they suitable for freezing? Yes.
Which ones though? Because I bet not all of them.
I would say the chicken dish would work really well for freezing. If you prepared the like I did at the beginning, cut the potatoes, cut the fennel. You could even get one of those sort of disposable metal baking trays.
Yes.
And pop the chicken in there and then cover with cling film and then pop it in the freezer. Uncooked.
Okay.
Take it off, defrost it, and then pop it in the oven. That would work really nicely. The Torta Barozzi, yes, that would work, but it would taste better, obviously, fresh. And the pasta, I would say a definite no, apart from the actual dough itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just need a little bit of parmesan and the grater.
Yeah.
And here's the pancetta. So this is a sort of, you know, optional extra, as they say, but it does make a lovely difference because you get that lovely saltiness on top of the and it creates
asparagus. The perfect the color contrast.
I'm salivating. I mean, it's really is anyway. So then we're going to just do some of that lovely parmesan on top of the tagliatelle.
And guys, if you didn't realise, this is actually Smeg parmesan. We make our own cheese as well. So cheese, balsamic wines, and again...
Do you make balsamic vinegar as well?
We do.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, they're the really thick stuff.
Emilia-Romagna is one of the most incredible regions of Italy. They've got so many products that are protected. You've got Parmigiano Reggiano, you've got balsamic vinegar, and you've got prosciutto di Parma. Yeah. So a great place to go. You've got to go to Bologna.
The best place to...
So there we have the tagliatelle with the English asparagus, pancetta and parmesan. So that's one of our dishes. And then let's have a look at the chicken. That's got to be ready soon.
I think so. And I think definitely the Torta Barozzi. You want me to take that?
Yeah, would you?
Brilliant. Or do they say the best chefs are the tidiest chefs? I think we'll do a bit of cleansing.
Well, you know.
Why not?
Okay, so just get that over to there. And then actually leave that for the chicken.
Yep.
And pop that there.
Brilliant.
And let's have a look at the chicken then. Do the honours?
Do the honours.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's looking good. Okay, so normally I'd leave it a little bit longer, but I think we are probably about time to take it out. So let's pop that on the tray. So as you can see, there's all this lovely juice in the pan. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to reduce that juice down. If you could pass me a saucepan.
You want a saucepan? We've got a frying pan just there that we could use. Whilst you're just grabbing that and you're reducing, but the Torta Barozzi has just beeped at me. And can I get Chef's opinion that they are ready to come out? Oh, just maybe a little bit longer.
I'd say another couple of minutes.
All right, another couple of minutes.
So can we just wipe that stove down? Okay, can we turn this one on for me? That shouldn't be on there, should it?
No, I'll move that just about there. Okay. So we've just got so messy. That's the problem.
It's me.
It's you, me. You know.
I'm sorry.
I've got to blame the chef, haven't I?
It's always me. I cook with passion. Problem with passion is you get a bit messy. Okay, and then so what we're going to do is we're just going to pour some of this juice into the pan.
Let's give that top
and that's just going to reduce down, make a lovely kind of sort of syrupy sauce to go on top. But those potatoes and the fennel smell amazing. So let's go all the way.
So this is an interesting one because I would never have done that with this dish. I would have just lifted it out, put it to plate. But you can do stuff with what's left in the base of the pan.
Well, the thing is, okay, so in here now you've got like the most perfect stock because you've got the chicken, the juice from the potatoes and the fennel. Yeah. So you've got this amazing, like almost like a sauce. So by reducing it down, you're going to increase the flavour, and we're going to make it a little bit thicker from the reducing it down, and that'll coat the chicken and the potatoes. It'll just make it taste. It's little things like that that make such a difference.
And can I just ask, are we happy? I don't know if we can. You probably can't.
Yeah,
I've
got a little knife here. I'm just going to put this little knife through, and that chicken, you can see it's crispy.
You can hear it.
Yeah, if you can have sound food vision, then it's crispy skin. I'd leave it maybe another 5 minutes, but we're running out of time here. So, but it's really tender. You can feel the chicken just coming off the bone really nicely.
Wonderful. And the potatoes,
and the potatoes are soft and lovely bit of colour on them. And then this sauce is going to make a real difference. So can you pass me that lovely big dish? I'm going to...
Where would you like it? At the front for everybody to
that's
see?
fine, yeah. And then we're going to just take off the... pass me the tongs again. I'm going to... Lovely, thank you. And then just give it a little bit of a wipe. And then we're just going to put the chicken to one side. And then
that's only just so you can get to what's...
Yeah, I mean, you can serve it on the tray in the middle of the table.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm doing is just going to take the chicken out. And then we're going to put the potatoes and the fennel onto our serving platter. Now, I love food like this. I love food when you serve it as like a family style. When you get like this amazing thing. I mean, rather than having lots of little plates and make it all look fancy, I quite like it when you get this lovely sort of display plate of lots of things for everyone.
To dig in, dive in and enjoy.
Yeah. You give everyone a plate and that, you know, bringing that plate to the table with this amazing food on it and putting it in the middle of the table is so much nicer than you know, having lots of little plates. Okay, so our sauce is good. Let's turn that off.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we just need our this. Here we go. And then we're going to pop these potatoes and fennel on the bottom of the tray.
Wow.
All those tomatoes have gone really soft and squidgy. And then I'm just going to hold that tray so it doesn't
slide
away. Yeah, there's lots in there. I'm salivating the thought of this dish.
So guys, I think absolutely. I mean, we're starting to bring all of these dishes together. We'd love to know what you're thinking about these dishes, whether you're actually going to try, oh my gosh, but it looks incredible. Well, believe you me, it is incredible. And I'm sure when I actually come to taste it, it will taste even more incredible than what it looks.
Okay, so let's put that to one side. We've got plenty on the table. Can I put that there?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, and then let's put the chicken on. So we put the chicken nicely onto a lovely...
And you know when you've got something like the chicken, so I know when we put the recipe up on the website, which, you know, we've popped into the chat for you, we've talked about thighs, you could do this with legs, but even with this, as long as you cut at a certain point, you can in fact just divide it up for people if they don't want a whole leg, can't you? So
exactly. You can just do this. I'll show you one. So just get the leg and then just cut down like that. Simple as that. And you've got the thigh and you've got the drumstick.
Brilliant.
So really nice. And then I'm just going to get this sauce with that a little shake so it all becomes nicely emulsified. And then just give a spoon, just pour that sauce over each chicken leg. So it's just absorbing that beautiful sauce.
These might be tricky. I don't know if we're going to get these out by the end, you know, Theo.
Okay, so.
But they're a little bit wobbly.
Well,
shall I take one out and rest? And
go on, let's get one out.
Let's be brave. Let's be bold. We've got to be brave.
We're running out of time, but you know what? I'm sure everyone watching will want to see the cake. So pop that there, and then let's look at this cake. So I'm going to put a little bit of cream. I'll make this really indulgent. Can you get me some cream?
Yes.
And so these plates I got on holiday in Puglia. Aren't they beautiful? I mean, I
really
love
pretty.
and they're so nice. Having nice little plates like that makes such a difference.
Present your food.
Makes such a difference. And they're just like really rustic, and you know, like the pasta dish in that plate just looks so good. So a little bit of cream in the bottom, he says.
I'll take a chef.
Cream
a little bit of cream
and chocolate. Okay, and then I'm going to I've got a plate I could use. Like a flat plate.
Yeah,
that one there, that's perfect. So we're just gonna break that off.
Oh wow, no, actually we might have just, you know.
And then I'm gonna pop that on.
Don't try this at home, guys. Let it cool.
Take the base off. Little knife. He says.
Oh, look at that.
And then I'm going to do that with asbestos hands.
Wow.
And then pop that in the tray. A little bit of icing sugar.
Yes, we have icing sugar. Can I do this bit?
Go on, you do
Am I
icing
allowed?
sugar.
Tell me when to stop.
Keep going. There we go. And there we have a hot Torta Barozzi. I think we should have a mouthful of this.
Oh gosh, I need to find a spoon. There's not going to be, the only spoon that's left is a wooden spoon. And I'm not going to disgrace myself in front of all you guys by tasting that. That is hot.
It's really hot.
Can you talk?
But
now?
It's really good. It's really good.
So just as we're wrapping up, guys, if anyone has got any more questions, I'm just checking the box down here to see if any have popped up. I know many of them have been answered throughout tonight's evening. So can you advise where this much, I'm not sure I understand the question. Could you advise from where this much stock liquid?
So where it comes from. So it basically comes from the chicken.
Sorry.
So
yes,
we've got the potatoes, we've got the tomatoes, we've got the fennel in there. And they've all got quite a lot of natural water in there. Then you've got the chicken as well. So it's a great way of making a sauce on its own. It's like making
just reduce it in the pan.
Now, if you cook that a lot longer, for say like another 15 minutes, you'd have less of the juice and it'd be more kind of caramelized. But it wouldn't have quite. I mean, it would be just as delicious. But having it quite juicy is quite nice. It makes it go really nicely with the potatoes and the fennel. Lovely.
And another question. Oh no, someone's put absolutely can't wait to make this meal tomorrow. Has Theo's griddled sirloin, ballotti tomatoes and salsa verde this evening for dinner? Yum.
Good on you.
Very, very good. So let's recap on the dishes that we have made for everybody.
Okay, so let's start from scratch. We made fresh pasta. I used 350 grams of Tipo 00 flour. I used 25 grams of fine semolina flour. I added 2 whole eggs.
Yes.
I added 4 yolks. Best quality eggs you can get.
They were
very nice. They're very nice eggs. And then I didn't add any salt, didn't add any oil, and I made it by hand, mixed it around. Quite hard work, but got the dough ready. And then I cut the dough in half. I put it through the machine. You can do it with a rolling pin, but put it through the machine a few times to prove the pasta. That makes the pasta really nice and stretchy.
Yeah.
I then rolled it out, cut it into about 20 centimeter pieces. Then I put it through the cutters. You can do that by hand with a knife. Put it on some semolina flour. I left it for 1 hour to dry it, so that has a nice bite to it. Then I cooked the asparagus in the boiling water. I added the pasta.
Rolling boil
with salt in there. Added the tagliatelle, and then I got 2 egg yolks and some Parmesan cheese, and I mixed the egg yolks and Parmesan cheese. Added a bit of pasta water. Mixed that so it was really nice and smooth.
That was the critical bit, having that pasta water.
Put some pasta water in the pan, add the tagliatelle and the asparagus, take it off the heat, stir in the eggs and the Parmesan, give that a stir, go back on the heat, just feel it, don't put it straight back on the heat, and then just stir it, season it, add a bit more pasta water, just get that consistency right, so it's really kind of
So egg yolks,
really
Parmesan,
juicy.
no cream, essential with that one.
No cream.
Okay.
And then we move on to chicken. So that was the pasta dish done. I fried some pancetta and we put it on top with some Parmesan and black pepper. The chicken, we got some red potatoes. You can use any kind of like waxy potato. We had fennel. We chopped those up, mix them with thyme, some garlic and some tomatoes. Mix that all together with salt and pepper. Put that on the bottom of the tray. Then I got the chicken legs, put the chicken legs on, salt, olive oil, bit of thyme in the oven.
Trusted me with your life. Cooked it in one go, microwave, steam, oven, 30 minutes,
Amazing.
boom, rather than blanching. Wonderful.
Amazing. Save so much time, save so many pans, save so much washing up. And then I took the chicken out. I reduced the sauce because lots of lovely juice. And then I put the potatoes, the fennel, tomatoes, thyme, and garlic on the tray. Put the chicken on top, and then spooned over the sauce on top of that. So that was a chicken dish done. And the torta barozzi was so simple. So we melted some chocolate and some butter in the microwave.
Yes.
We melted that. I then separated the eggs. We had some egg whites, some egg yolks, and some sugar. I mixed the egg yolks and the sugar together to go into a nice creamy consistency. You chopped some almonds. We added the almonds to the chocolate.
Poured loads of rum in.
A double espresso and some rum.
Yes.
Mixed that all together. We then poured that into the sugar and the egg yolks. Took that out. Folded in the egg whites. Mixed that together. Popped it in the
dishes.
The lines, which you put a little bit of butter.
Yeah,
and
we did a bit of butter and flour.
Baked it in the oven for, was it 10 minutes?
It was about 20 minutes in total in the end.
I served an incredibly hot torta barozzi with some cream on the bottom with some icing sugar on top of that.
Wonderful.
That is the meal.
Looks absolutely delicious. Thank you so much,
My
Theo.
pleasure. Thank you.
We really hope you've all enjoyed your evening tonight. I know I have. I've got the privilege, of course, of tucking into this beautiful menu. And we'd love it if you are going to recreate some of these dishes in the future. So don't forget to post them on Instagram at @smeg_UK. We'd love to see what you've been up to. This is obviously one of many lives that we're going to be doing. We also do lives in general. So head on to that Eventbrite page that some of you may have booked on. And of course, there are plenty of other classes, not with Theo at the moment, but, you know, who knows? Theo's going to be popping up, I'm sure, in the future. So watch this space. But thank you very much, everybody. I've had fun. We hope you've had fun. And we'll see you all again very soon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.